Yeah, hello. It's another Monday morning. Welcome to another edition of Monday Morning PP. We look at Psalm 44, but after the song Staging a Comeback by Mark Petrie. Good morning, thanks for joining me. Yes, that is Mark Petrie. If it's track staging a comeback. Team music. Good morning, thanks for joining me. Achu, good morning, thanks for joining me on Monday Morning PP. This morning I want to look at Psalm 44, specifically from verse 1 to 8. Another theme, it was your right hand. Psalm 44 is a contemplation of some of the sons of Korah who were part of the priesthood in the Old Covenant in Israel. And the particular time of this psalm is disputed. There are different schools of thought, but I personally believe that it was situated in the time of Hezekiah for some reasons, but my purpose is not to go into that. My purpose here is to lay out the fact that we do not get victories, and we do not even get the promises God gives us by our own strength. It is the hand of God which gives us that victory. You see, if we don't have this in mind, you become very proud and arrogant. You think that it's my family, or it's my strength, or I'm a good girl, I'm a good boy, or I don't do this, that's why God is blessing me, or doing this. It is good not to do bad things. It is good to come from a good home and a good family. It is good to keep discipline. All those things are good. But that is not necessarily the reason why God does the things He does for you in your life. God does the things He does for you because of your faith in Him, because of His promises, or because of His covenants. Those are the reasons. Yes, as part of that, there is a role you may have to play in that. And if you don't play that role, what you expect to manifest may not manifest, because faith without works is dead. But in the supreme look at the things, it is God. Otherwise, it will not work. That's why I always say that unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain that build it. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen watch by in vain. He says it's vain for you to rise up early and sit up late, but yet eat the bread of sorrows. It means people rise up very early and work hard, but they still don't get enough for themselves and for their families. So it's not just about hard work. It's about hard work. People waking up 4 a.m., 3 a.m. and doing stuff. They should be able to get by. If it's about connections, a lot of people have connections, but those connections have not been able to help them. If it's about family, people are coming from certain families where there is wealth, but they are suffering. So all those things may be tools God will use, but the bottom line is that without God, they are all nothing. That's what we must have in mind. So Psalm 44 was part recounting the good things God has done, part lamentation about their current circumstance, because at that time they were under oppression from foreign powers and other nations. And then finally, he was asking God to show Himself strong again. So he started off by recounting the good things God has done in times past. and then went on to their current situation, which was that of lamentation about their current situation, and then went out by telling God that, God, you are God, do the thing again. That's what he wanted to say. But my focus is on verse 1 to 8 to show the fact that they didn't even get the possession of their land by their own strength. Let me read for you Psalm 44 from verse 1 to 8. It says, we have heard with our ears, O God, our fathers have told us the deeds which you did in their days. That's why in the days of, they were referring to the days of the Egyptians, when Moses and things, when the plagues and all those things, the crossing of the Red Sea and everything, even to coming into the promised land and then conquering the other nations and all those things, from to the David time when David established the kingdom. This was far after David had established the kingdom. This was in Hezekiah's days. So it says, so we have heard with our ears, O God, our fathers have told us the deeds which you did in their days, in the days of old, how you drove out the nations with your hand. So God was the one who drove out the nations with his right hand from the promised land for the people. Because the people in the land, Bible describes some of them as giants and the rest, Anakims and the rest. But this small ragtag army of Jews who had just left bondage in Egypt were able to overcome them. It means that it was not by their strength. All what they had to do was to show up, and God himself would find a way of defeating their enemies. That's why some of their enemies, God himself caused some of the nations to fight among themselves and to destroy themselves for the Jews to come and take over the land. So it says that you drove out the nations with your hand, but them you planted. So it was God who drove out the nations with his hand and then planted his people. It says, you afflicted the people and cast them out. It says, you afflicted the people who were occupying the land, which was the land of the Jews, of the Israelites. You cast them out. It is God who drives out our enemies, people who have entrenched themselves in our land, in what God has given us, and they are trying to fight over it. They are trying to say, I will not understand for you to take over. This is mine, and all those things, all contention. It is God who deals with all that. Now he continues. He says, for they did not gain, and this is my emphasis for this one. He says, for they did not gain possession of the land by their own sword, nor did their own arm save them, but it was your right hand, your arm, and the light of your countenance, because you favored them. What the psalmist here is saying is very simple. It was God's favor upon his own people, the children of Israel, that caused them to possess the land. It says, for they did not gain possession of the land by their own sword, for by strength shall no man prevail. It is not by our own strength. It doesn't mean your strength is not important. Your strength is important. It is God who gave you the strength. But don't ever think that you prevail because of your strength. Don't ever think that, oh, I was able to marry this good guy because I'm beautiful. Forget it. People are more beautiful than you. Don't forget that, oh, this blessed lady, humble, respectful, submissive, industrious lady, I got her because I am prayerful, or I'm hardworking, or I'm a doctor, or a lawyer, or a consultant, or a pilot, or something. No, that's not the reason why you got it. People are all that. They are looking for wives they've not been able to get. Good wife. So it is God's right hand which gives us possession. And he says, not with their own sword. So sometimes God doesn't even need your personal intervention. God himself knows how to do his own thing. It was your right hand, your arm, which favored them, and the light of your countenance, which favored them. It's my prayer that you and I, God's favor will lead us into our possessions. Whatever God has ordained for us, whether by covenant or by promise, whose time has come or whose time is even past for us to enter, but the devil's operation and machinations is trying to prevent us from. May God's favor and his mercy through his right hand cause us to inherit it. Then he goes on to now plead that you are my king, O God. Command victories for Jacob. He's asking that God do it again. Command victory. Through you we will push down our enemies. They are facing enemies at this time. Through your name we will trample those who rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, nor shall my sword save me. But you have saved us from our enemies, and you have put to shame those who hated us. In God we boast all day long, and praise your name forever. So the psalmist was here saying that God should do his things which he did in the past now, because he's also not going to trust his strength. Just like his fathers didn't inherit the land by their strength, he's also not going to trust in his strength to inherit the land, but he will trust in God who will help him to inherit the land. It's my prayer this morning that we come to that realization that it doesn't matter the role we play. If God, Bible says, John the Baptist said something, that a man can receive nothing unless it is given to him from above. That we'll get to know that nothing we get is just because we are hardworking, but it's because God gave it to us. Nothing we get is necessarily because we think we deserve it. because God gave it to us. Yes, we may have done something which has shown favor upon us in the sight of God, but it is favor. God, what you have done, God could have decided not to still show you favor, and you will still be God. Let this make us humble. Let us know that it is not by our strength that we prevail, but by God's grace and mercy. May God bless us and have a great week. Join me tomorrow morning for Time of the Prophet, where we study the prophetic books. Good morning. Have a blessed week.